Voila. Good morning, everyone. Ciao, Eleonora. Ciao.
Ciao a tutti.
Hi.
Ciao.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Ciao. How are you all?
Fine, congratulations.
Thank you.
We
Congratulations.
are one world, you know.
That's true.
One big Italy now.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it was something yesterday. So we enjoyed. I hope you enjoy too.
But it was a long night for everybody.
Yeah, I'm sure. Are you in Switzerland at the moment, or in...
Yes, we're in Switzerland now. We're in Switzerland.
Okay, I was afraid to wake you up too early in Miami.
No worries.
Actually, that's good.
But the Italians woke us up. There were a lot of them celebrating.
I'm sure. Okay, guys, thank you for being with us today. It's the 16th edition of this small series of talks that we are organizing during the summer. And today we have the pleasure to present you a nice triptych again. It will talk ELEONORA CASTAGNETTA BOTTA as first, and then KNTXTXR, Catarina Benjamin is today with us today. Ciao. And then SAUTER VON MOOS will conclude the session. So as usual, we will briefly introduce you, and then we ask you to share your thoughts. So starting from Eleonora, as said, who is one of the member of the upcoming exhibition that we will present soon in Milano at the Antonia Iannone Gallery. Eleonora, she's an architect, graduated in Mendrisio, and she's the founder of ENT, a young reality that aimed the intention of merging the architectural imaginary and its principles together with the jewelry design. She is designing her jewels one by one. Each piece is realized by hand, and it's conceived as an architectural project, so it's designed in its entireness, from the jewel itself to the packaging and such, with and all the part that contains the jewels, actually. So she brings together the history of the majestic Switzerland design and architecture, together with knowledge and experience of the Italian goldsmith tradition. ArchiJewels is the name of the collection she will present in our Milanese exhibition. And ArchiJewels, in our eyes, looks like a kind of rescaled, reinterpreted, reinvented, sharp, clever, unexpected series of beautiful wearable icons, purely beautiful. We look forward to listen to you, Eleonora, and to host you physically soon in Milano. We wish you to enjoy this morning. And Eleonora, it's on you. Thanks for being part of this.
Okay. If I speak in Italian, is a problem or nobody know?
As you feel more comfortable. Thank you.
Because in Italian is more comfortable, because I can explain better my ideas. But if you don't speak Italian, I try to speak in English.
No. I mean, we might not understand every nuance, but I think I would enjoy Italian.
Yes.
Ok. Ok. Vi mostrerò anche delle immagini che sia più facile. Anche ho preparato un po' di immagini proprio per farvi capire qual era la mia idea di associare l'architettura al design di qualcosa di molto piccolo. Quindi inizialmente la mia domanda, adesso aspettate che condivido, ecco, la mia domanda iniziale è stata quella di come posso coinvolgere l'architettura in un progetto di gioiello. Quindi innanzitutto il titolo, Wearable Architectures, secondo me racchiude molto bene questo concetto. Quindi la base di partenza sono sempre dei progetti che per me hanno un valore o stilistico o architettonico, o semplicemente emozionale o legato a un ricordo, qualcosa. E poi appunto c'è la componente quindi della wearability, cioè della indossabilità, che diventa un po' la quarta dimensione di quelli che sono i progetti che di solito possiamo vedere, visitare, fare come esperienza. L'indossabilità diciamo, dell'architettura fa sì che questi progetti non siano delle miniature di architetture, cioè non sono a little project di un progetto conosciuto, ecco, ma sono delle reinterpretazioni di qualcosa che in me, diciamo, ha suscitato un particolare interesse. Adesso come prima cosa voglio farvi vedere, ecco, quali sono i progetti da cui sono partita. Allora, l'interesse per me fondamentale era la scuola del Bauhaus, quindi nelle sue varie sfaccettature, quindi la sede di Dessau, di Weimar, di Berlino. Non so se avete avuto modo di conoscere magari dal vivo questi progetti, però appunto il Bauhaus è stato sicuramente il primo progetto che ha ispirato questo dialogo tra il design e l'architettura. Questa è la sede di Dessau. Poi il secondo, che è stato appunto un altro dei primi grandi progetti su questo tema, Ronchamp, con il Rifugio del Pellegrino, che è questo piccolissimo edificio che si trova ai piedi della ben più nota cattedrale, e che era appunto il rifugio per gli operai che lavoravano all'interno della cappella durante la sua costruzione. Quindi è un progetto poco conosciuto a cui, diciamo, ho voluto rendere omaggio costruendo qualcosa di prezioso, che secondo me racchiudesse un po' l'essenza di questo progetto. E poi ci sono gli archetipi, come ad esempio la ziggurat. No, questo non è un archetipo, comunque la ziggurat fa parte di quegli studi che semplificano un oggetto architettonico in forme molto molto semplici. Then I try to show some pieces about these simply shapes. Poi c'è un altro progetto che è la chiesa di Monio, che si trova in Svizzera. Perché un altro dei punti fondamentali di questi progetti in miniatura era cercare degli agganci tra l'architettura e il territorio svizzero. Sicuramente in futuro ci saranno comunque altri tipi di architettura, ma l'idea iniziale era quella di portare avanti un po' la Svizzera. Quindi la chiesa di Monio di Mario Botta è stato un altro dei progetti che ha ispirato. Adesso appunto un po' velocemente vi faccio vedere cosa è successo dalla interpretazione dell'architettura e arrivare quindi al gioiello. Questa è la sede di Berlino del Bauhaus. E il primo progetto è stato la realizzazione di un cofanetto in legno di pero, quindi come diceva Luca l'attenzione al packaging che fa parte del progetto di gioiello, quindi non soltanto un qualcosa da indossare, ma qualcosa che quando non è indossato ha una collocazione spaziale progettata insieme a lui. Quindi dal Bauhaus di Berlino sono nati questi cofanetti che ricalcano la forma architettonica e che all'interno svelano questi 7 anelli. Ognuno degli anelli rappresenta una lettera della scritta Bauhaus. Quindi è un collegamento, diciamo, non proprio tanto percettibile, però concettualmente anche la verticalità della scritta ricalca questo slogan, diciamo. E poi cosa è successo? Che una volta che si erano realizzate queste lettere della scritta Bauhaus, mi sono detta sarebbe bello fare un alfabeto completo. Come si può, diciamo, realizzare un font in 3D? Non è stato, diciamo, molto facile, perché l'idea era che tutte le lettere avessero la stessa forma, cioè partissero da un cubo di dimensioni uguali e poi a seconda di come questo cubo veniva scavato veniva fuori proprio la lettera. Quindi è stato creato un intero alfabeto esposto in questa grande barra con 26 buchi, proprio per far vedere come ogni anello accanto a un altro avesse una, diciamo, sequenzialità rispetto all'immagine precedente. Cioè ogni lettera, secondo me, per me è riconoscibile ormai anche singolarmente, ma in questo caso è più facile comunque capirne la lettura. Cioè si inizia dalla A, la B, la C, Adesso ve ne mostro, ecco, per esempio qui, inizialmente magari non è proprio così immediato, però ogni volumetto ha lasciato spazio alla lettera che si voleva creare. Sono realizzati tutti in argento, qualche pezzo anche in oro, e la matrice appunto sia del Bauhaus ma anche di forma architettonica. Cioè ogni singolo pezzo, oltre a rappresentare una lettera, rappresenta anche un piccolo edificio. Ad esempio questo che io sto indossando oggi, che è come una piccola architettura, quindi è una lettera M, rappresenta simbolicamente una lettera M, però ha anche questo senso di gravità dato proprio dall'oggetto architettonico. Questa è un'immagine che così ho messo per far vedere come anche la combinazione di diversi volumi magari genera dei nuovi concetti, magari dei nuovi... sono come dei piccoli modellini architettonici. Questo qui, ad esempio, per me è un portale. È una U capovolta, ma è un portale. Quindi mi piace sempre, come dire, far vedere come la relazione spaziale che c'è tra l'oggetto di design, quindi piccolo, e l'architettura a grandissima scala sia comunque sintetizzata in questi piccolissimi oggetti. Poi, appunto, per esempio, passando al rifugio del pellegrino, questo è il logo che Le Corbusier aveva scelto per rappresentare questi colori del rifugio. All'interno l'edificio ha tutte delle tinte molto accese e anche da qui quindi è arrivata un po' la schematizzazione di questo logo e di questi colori in un anello dalle geometrie molto nette e primitive. In fondo è una piramide semplicissima che però appunto accoglie i colori del rifugio e ricalca anche i colori che Le Corbusier utilizzava in pittura. Infatti, poi vabbè, Le Corbusier, non so se è una cosa che si conosce abbastanza, ma lui aveva redatto questa policromia architetturale, che era un insieme di tinte che lui utilizzava spesso in alcuni progetti, e che ho utilizzato per poi creare delle versioni associate ai colori di ogni stagione, partendo comunque dalle tinte che lui aveva scelto. Quindi sono nate delle collane, sono nate recentemente anche degli orecchini che non ho pubblicato, però l'idea è quella di utilizzare l'armonia di questi colori per realizzare anche qui dei gioielli che avessero un rimando formale all'architettura di Le Corbusier. Sempre attraverso l'uso di queste forme semplici sono nati anche dei bracciali, che io ho chiamato parametro, proprio per dare l'idea di queste forme archetipiche del quadrato, del cerchio molto semplici, che trovano anche loro questa collocazione spaziale in packaging che vengono costruiti come dei negativi di quelli che sono poi gli oggetti propriamente indossabili. Questo per esempio è una fase della lavorazione, quindi ogni singolo cofanetto viene realizzato singolarmente, anche con diversi tipi di legno, c'è l'acero, c'è il pero, tutti legni che hanno comunque delle sfumature molto diverse che hanno delle tinte naturali, proprio per contrapporli o alle tinte degli smalti molto accese o all'oro e l'argento. E poi appunto ho inserito anche alcuni altri archetipi come lo ziggurat, che è questo altro anello che ha una forma veramente molto molto semplice, ma che in oreficeria, chi conosce il settore dell'oreficeria, sono veramente complicati da realizzare proprio perché le linee rette non sono mai così precise da fare. Quindi anche qui è un oggetto molto semplice che però ha un impatto immediato a quello che è la sua fonte di ispirazione. E poi appunto Mognolo, che ho chiamato così perché è un anello da mignolo, ispirato alla chiesa di Mogno, i Pinky Ring, realizzato ecco, in coppia, perché i colori della chiesa di Mogno ritornano nell'alternanza di questi due oggetti, quindi bianco e nero come la pietra che era stata utilizzata nella chiesa. Poi sono state fatte anche delle edizioni limitate in oro, ma sempre utilizzando comunque questo packaging realizzato appunto su misura per questo anello. Quindi come immagini io appunto avevo scelto queste, che sono appunto i progetti che pensavo di presentare come iconic, perché sono quelli proprio più rappresentativi di questo progetto. Poi ci sono chiaramente ispirati all'architettura anche tanti altri pezzi in cui magari il rimando non è proprio così iconico, quindi avevo scelto appunto di portare questi alla mostra, perché secondo me hanno proprio relazionati alla Design Week e quindi a quello che è tutto il contesto di design e di architettura, secondo me potevano diciamo, inserirsi in maniera con i loro packaging, tra l'altro, si inseriscono abbastanza in maniera armoniosa con il tema che voi avete scelto.
Yes, we can put it in English, if you don't mind.
In English.
No, we will make a kind of sum up in English, and yes, we confirm. I mean, this really it is what the aim of the exhibition was about. So of course it's iconic and it's visible, so it's tangible, and we thank you for taking part to this. It's a pity we missed a little bit like the first part of your of the fake authentic presentation, but we think we are very happy with what you are going to bring to us. So thank you, Eleonora. We look forward to that.
It's always interesting to see how our passion for architecture can be transposed to other disciplines. In your case, something really unexpected. So thank you a lot, Eleonora.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, we don't know nothing about jewelry, so it's always interesting to be curious and to understand a little bit more. So thanks for also sharing your knowledge in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Grazie a voi.
Okay, so we now jump to the second of our guests.
Yeah, we will present KNTXTR. In KNTXTR, I will shortly introduce you guys. KNTXTR is a digital magazine spinning around architecture, founded in 2017 by Katrina Benjamin and Alan Lindman, currently based in Leipzig in Berlin. Current team is Katrina Benjamin, Angelika Hinterbrandner, Patrick Martin. They constantly search for contributors to submit essays, projects, opinions, comments, interviews, drawings, photography, visual research, books, or any other content that seems right. The reason why we asked them to take part to this series of lectures is because they are like an octopus spreading their tentacles on every nuance of built and unbuilt architecture. They are extremely curious and we think intelligent persons. They represent nowadays a proper Wikipedia where you can fish every kind of update issue on the youngest unknown practice. Nevertheless, they became a real launch ramp for youngsters, and we are really interested to hear you.
Yes, thank you for the invitation. I'm quite curious if I can bring my thoughts in English, and I will share my presentation now. One moment. I just went with the 5 slides you proposed. As you already mentioned, we are currently discussing, are we a magazine, are we a platform, or even a network? But we are definitely a lot of people, I guess, who are feeling a general discomfort about our profession. And I just wanted to show with the 5 images, the 5 slides, how my development in the profession and this discomfort stems from. So I actually started my architectural journey in Haldenstein in Switzerland. And this is a part of the model workshop at Peter Zumthor, where we had all this XPS installation where we did build incredible models with. And this was my first contact with this material. And I never thought about having all this trouble with it afterwards and all this trouble thinking about it and asking myself, why do I see it on every Why do I see it on every building site, and so on. And we did take it for modeling, for producing something fake, even though we were working one-to-one at the time. This is me, I'm 19 or 20 years old, and we are having a mock-up of the burning chair, which was later part of the memorial for the burning of the witches in Vado. And even though it was a fake experience, it was quite intense and emotional, overwhelming. And I even thought at this time, what would happen if we take something of this material, which we always cut with the hot needle, and took it into the burning chair. And I thought, this wouldn't go good. And this was a fake, a staged situation, like I think many architectural practices somehow are, and what we are presenting and are building up. But this is the way I'm finding this material all the time here in Leipzig. Every building site I pass, you have this image, and this seems to be the authentic image of this material. And of course, I'm asking myself, we are asking ourselves, how could that happen? How could the building codes be so precisely asking for this material? And I would say even this is the everyday icon of the German, Austrian city. You see it everywhere. You have everywhere the XPS insulation, which is extremely risky of fire, as you see it, as we take it in our work as architects and work with a hot needle on it and can cut it. So you can burn it down quite easily. It produces incredible amount of smoke volume. It's really amazing how this works together. It has harmful substances which are washing out. You can't reuse it, you can't recycle it, but we don't know why, but our building codes and the energy savings regulations are incredibly precise, are wishing for this material. So this is the everyday icon I can see here in Leipzig evolving. This is the everyday argument for architecture. And this is for me the ironic counterpart. Overall in Germany, we have this fires because of it. And it's a really special way of burning down. It's sickens up, and then you have this boom. And yes, that's from the beginning, it's a driving force of KNTXTR. Why do we have to design in this kind of building regulations? Who is scripting these? Who passes them through the legislative process? And where is our voice as architects within this discourse? I think a lot of, especially German young practices, you have the feeling your space to create is limited every year, because the energy savings regulation gets more strict and strict. And they're proposing us and the society an idea of sustainability of the new Green Deal. But for me, the authentic ironic, how can you believe as our society, my grandma who's a homeowner, they get these mailings, you have to have a sustainable house. You have to buy our insulation and help the environment. How can it be that we are so alienated from material and material reactions that we really believe that resources that we want to protect, that we put them on our houses as claddings. And who is helping the people who are wanted to have them integrated into the building regulations? There were tests that were absolutely showing that it's too fire risky. And in Germany, you have the regulation that it had to be B+ to come on the facade. So yeah, this is one of the main questions that is driving KNTXTRUE's work. Thank you.
Thank you, Katarina. It's actually, it's funny to say that you described the wooden chapel by Zumthor, the model of the wooden chapel by Zumthor as a fake, and Eric Lapierre was also in the first episode. He was really pushing it, not the model but the physical one as a fake. So there's a kind of I mean, it seems it's becoming the king of fake, the chapel of Zumthor, unfortunately for Peter, but it is what it is. And I think was also very funny and ironic to see a smiling German guy with fresh basil leaves in his arms, when I'm sure that basil will never grow in that area. But anyway, it's just a stupid consideration. We thank you for this, and
yeah, to sensibilize also us to these topics, and I really appreciated you're doing that with your initiative.
I think was also interesting what Axel Chevrolet from MacIver Chevrolet said in one of the past speech, let's say, and it was saying that nowadays styrofoam, it's actually one of the only massive material that we can really shape and deal with. Before was stones, marble, granite, all these kind of things that nowadays it's too expensive, and so there's a kind of fashion, let's say, for young practices and architects to shape these massive blocks and creating especially pieces of furniture, which sometimes are very interesting. And I think that picture of the leftovers, your authentic picture, could be actually a perfect set for a design series. It could be taken out from the Fuorisalone 2019.
That's actually right next to my house where I live here in Leipzig, and it was it's from a house that was a ruin like for 10 years because the investor and the building company was going broke. They couldn't build further, and then it was like a really scary ruin where you had when it was windy, you had everything like the wind going through it, and sometimes the fire police came because some things were falling down. But then they found a new investor, and they started rebuilding it, and you could see something was wrong with the perimeter insulation, with the and they were carving it all out, and they created this mess, and not the building is not appealing in any way, but I checked it on the the real estate platforms here in the city. They sold the flats, the apartments for 800,000 euros, like for 120 square meters, 500,000 to 800. What's incredible for Leipzig, it's like you can't believe it. It's so yeah.
Okay, thank you for your contribution again. We now jump to the third of our guests. Last but not least, it's the practice SAUTER von Moos. Welcome, guys. They are an architectural practice established in Basel by Florian Sauter and Charlotte von Moos, and they late based in Miami as well. The studio engages in work on all scales, both in theory and practice. Charlotte taught in Mendrisio, ETH, Harvard, Munich, and Porto Academy, while Florian as well taught in Munich, Porto, and Cornell AAP, and is currently teaching in Miami School of Architecture. He's, by the way, the author of several issues. We mentioned, for instance, Painting the Sky Black, which is a marvelous ode to Louis Kahn intelligence. The reason why we invited them is because we love their attitude, which can be represented by their credo, everything is architecture. A credo emphasized by the sharp, constant attention to earth, water, air, and light as fundamental elements to shape their imagination in a so-called architecturalized nature. We thank you guys for taking part. That's and enjoy this duo. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. You hear us?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for the invitation. It's been a challenge, of course, to bring all these terminologies together, and we collected a few ideas and thoughts that are more or less connected regarding these. Let's get moving. Okay.
Did you see it advancing?
No.
Oh, okay. Great. It's always the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have to stop this.
Can I see
it? Huh?
Wait.
Yeah. Probably it's better like that. We will do it like that. So somehow, whenever there's a presentation, this is how it goes. But you see it like that, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Now we see.
Okay, we do it like that.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Fake. What you see here is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad in the Frontierland at the Magic Kingdom Park in Orlando, Florida. According to its official description, the wildest ride in the wilderness. Think of a contemporary folly, a purposeless construction that suspends with worth any belief in the rational. Disguising time while blurring place and space, it mixes magic with mystery, fun with fantasy, now with then. No one knows what is real and what is false, nor what trick holds it up, or if the stones that support it hold anything at all. Capriciously, it rejects any categorization. It is bizarre because what justifies its existence is simply its desire to be. Children do not differentiate between what is fictitious and what is real, what is possible and what is not. They believe in fairy tales and fantastic stories, dream big, and are not afraid of the incredible. As adults, what halts us from returning to a state of naive childhood in which, with glowing excitement, the imagination looms large, and in the act of playful appropriation, things are just taken for granted. Enlarging the circumference of our thinking, all one imagines, no matter how ridiculous, is true. Fantasy is not beyond, but forms a substantial part of reality. There is nothing more real than the surreal, nothing more surreal than the real. While the realm of meaning is our predominant mode of engagement with the cultured world we live in, manifestations of presence define exceptions and are inevitably professional. In quintessence, the problem of meaning is not that it is in, but that it lies outside our immediate experience of the world. The power of art, including architecture, is only established in the eye of the beholder. In pictorial terms, one's mind is the canvas upon which the artists lay their color. Without care and attention, paintings, movies, songs, or buildings merely exist but have no presence. Thus, in true solidarity, the world and the self bring each other into existence. There is no truth. The same house consists of as many houses as there are different perspectives and times of the day. Thus, the house is never seen because there is possibly so much more to be seen.
Authentic. Mittagsspitze in the Lechtaler Alps in Austria. Since time immemorial, the classic quartet of the natural elements, earth, water, air, and fire, has determined man's thinking and the expression of his being in the world. The canonical tetrad established by the pre-Socratics ceased to be the root of everything that existed. Matter in its most basic form, only during the Enlightenment's chemical restructuring of the universe. Nonetheless, in terms of their physical presence, the elements remain at the forefront of our encounter with the world. As sensually perceivable phenomena, material substances and physical forces, they represent the familiar states that matter can adopt. Earth, all solids, water, all fluids, air, all gases, and fire, all forms of energy. As ontological essences and intellectualized types, we grasp them in the sandbox and encounter them during a storm and in the flickering flame of a candle. To engage with them means to confront the world like early humankind, to return to an atavistic sense of rootedness and to accept them in all their eerie beauty and rage, where existential issues become essential and simple. It also means the immersion in an authentic architectural experience that is not insulated by the cocoon of modern comfort, but where weather matters. Altogether, the elements invigorate the built structure and co-determine a building's experiential reality. They define basic characteristics of place, indicate the presence of certain materials, and act according to precise geophysical rules and rhythms. Compelled to interact with them during construction, the architect should remember their brute power, Earth's crushing weight, the erratic nature of water, air's thermodynamic cataclysms, and the dangerous benignity of fire. Effective in a direct way, they act as guiding principles in the process of realization, since each natural element relates to a fundamental architectural correlate. Earth to the foundation, water to the roof, air to the space-defining wall, and fire to the energy within and without. The elements then teach not a style, but a way of thinking. With elemental forethought, we can encompass both their inherent dangers and their possibilities of domestication. In all cases, to think of them as singularities is pointless. Like a blacksmith who works holistically with them all, the architect too has to think about the elements all at once and not one by one. Fused in a mist-like, mellifluous way, they are the universal elixirs, which, in the frenzied state of eternal becoming, is really coalesce.
Iconic. We see here a silo in Buffalo, New York State. In 2009, in a publication called Iconoclastia, I wrote, during recent months, a tremendous bubble of market expectations has burst apart. Iconic architecture relates with that breakdown of capitalist euphoria, comparable to the virtual value shares. It produced similar phantasms in the drag rope of economic mechanisms to capture the mediatic attention. The contemporary equation of the economic function was apparently simple. The striking image of the building had to sell. Monotonous multiplications of signature buildings propped up in every part of the world, steadily sacrificing their special appeal during the process of repetition. Not too long ago, a quite different notion of economy epitomized the integrity of form and function, adhering to its determination of achieving the most with the least. The functional form in response to inner and outer necessities took shape in a quasi-auto-organic process. Today, the iconic building accommodates no longer such a dual response to spatial juxtapositions and differentiated scales, because one-sidedly function follows form. A reductionist simplicity leaving out the intricacies of life. In itself, the use of icons is nothing novel, but one ought to be careful to distinguish between its different applications. Etymologically, the term refers to an image, and religiously to a depiction of a holy being or object, a practice in fact rejected in the Exodus due to its veiling of the eternal light and spirit. Analogously, in architecture, a two-dimensional representation does not incorporate a building's real essence. Architecture's spatial aura and polyvalent atmosphere cannot be translated into any other medium, and iconic devices can solely approach the authentic scenario and experience. Architecture, like music and sculpture, works with space, the people moving within it and being moved by it in an immediate manner. The creation of an icon as a bearer of communal meaning lies beyond functional considerations, either in economic, programmatic, or structural terms. Considering its commitment to provide more than sheer shelter, a monumental icon transcends ideological boundaries to unite into a transsubjective bond people of diverse origins and habits. Whether one designates such a building as an icon or a monument is not the central concern, but rather if the edifice as a public institution fulfills its role of generating spaces with dignity that stimulate an open dialogue with their users.
Ironic. Sala dei Cavalli in the Palazzo del Tè in Mantua, Italy. Everything is required to be tediously explained today, as if all our decisions are derived from a logical rationale. Under the banner of profuse justification, it is assumed that a work of architecture is entirely legible in its content and fully lucid in its intentions. No, at least in our case, this design process is highly personal, informed by long discussions and always exploitative of our memories to uncover their ingrained spatial notations, but also whimsical and frankly quite desperate on many occasions. Doubtful and hesitant, once we laugh, things are good. Give a chance, allowing mistakes to evolve and inspire, since the reality consistently exceeds the concepts that try to contain it. By default, every new context is an accidental condition that faces the somewhat idealized construct of the idea. However, this randomness is also a possibility to escape the instrumental superiority of a logically transparent intention. In other words, accepting a place's illogicality can help produce something logically illogic. It is too simplistic to believe that a project results from a crystallizing process that smoothly rewards the synthesis in a moment of eureka once the factual data have all been adequately collected and related. No, cause and effect do not act linearly in architectural thinking. At a particular moment, there is a crucial disjunction where one needs to leap into the void and become creative to conceive, throw forth in a mind-generative act with conviction. In evolutionary terms, this anti-fitness is art's provocation, its inherent strength to move from the known to the unknown that we are after. Ultimately, one may wonder whether absolute architectural freedom has no premeditated agenda, whether it is not rather non-doctrinal and a consequence of one's capacity to set aside with each design all prescribed doctrines and stiff-necked habits. For a desired easiness and leggerezza, it may demand, like Theseus, to be in constant flow, walk away from the safety of one's methods, possess a chameleon-like readiness to change, and be unburdened by conventions. Theoretically, it is pretty simple. Identifying the right concept, finding precisely that which needs to be done, and addressing it each time differently.
Fake iconic or authentic ironic? Ed Ruscher's mural What in Philip Johnson's Miami Public Library, a building the architect described as a neo-traditional design of what should become a landmark in the development of postmodern architectural language. The limits of one's language define the limits of one's world, whereas the development of new terminologies goes hand in hand with a changing understanding of things. According to Gaston Bachelard, language dreams, and putting words into a new environment, a dreamer can write of a curve that is warm, unquote. In analogy, only very limited is our vocabulary about space. What is innocent, narrative, or figurative space? What is a strange, a nude, or a savage room? Once leaving our common descriptions behind, a whole new territory of meanings arises. Destabilizing the dialectic thought patterns in the East means to pair, a correlation of terms at once opposes and responds to each other, while reality proceeds from the interval that opens up between the collapsing poles. Like in no theater, where for the sake of total immersion, the borderline between actors and audiences vanishes, the resulting interspace is an area of vectors and not merely a distinction of parts. Following that logic, a building might establish in-between spaces where not antagonisms like private and public, or human and non-human, or fake or authentic are amplified, but their unification is the ambivalent goal. Altogether, architecture can be considered closed and open, static and flexible, physical and mental, natural and artificial, sensual and intellectual, all of the above being effective and active at the same time. Architectural thinking is never straightforward, but challenges one's ability to integrate diverging factors that only in tandem constitute its absolute reality. Today, what is required is a new language, a descriptive and comparative rather than an analytical and explanatory one. One that pays more attention to the presence of things and not their intellectual content, one that acquires the metaphorical freedom to capture and preserve in contradictory terms their complex reality. In the best of surrealist tradition, when looking at something usual from an unusual perspective or taking it out of context, it will become vital through the irritating estrangement.
Fake, authentic, iconic, ironic. Villa Hammer in Basel, Switzerland. The ensemble of the new building and the villa stands in a critical dialogue. The new structure both emulates the old, but also demarcates its own contemporaneity. What was formerly done in heavy stone is now done in lighter wood and steel. What appears to obey the tenets of a classic centralized order is resting upon a dematerialized plinth. What generally follows a strict formal canon permits the accommodation of informal pragmatic distortions. And as is most tangible in the large ornaments framing the windows, but also in the newly added ancillary structures, what was once carved out by stone masons is now brought to fresh expression using digital technologies. In all cases, presence is not to be mistaken for the present. Sometimes the intense experience of a moment appears to last forever. A gaze at the ocean, a random noise catching one's attention, a shiver of coolness in the evening breeze, a stream of light breaking through the leaves. Fully immersed in the experiential now, these flash-like encounters have, no matter how unpredictable they might be, a presence reaching beyond the present. As the flow of time comes to a halt, the stark authenticity of the occasion takes over. This creation of genuine spatial experiences is an essential function of architecture, an important therapeutic one, as it may offer relief and necessary friction to shape a better and healthier life. Okay, that was it from us.
Wow. Thank you, guys. You took it so seriously, and thanks for doing that. It was a beautiful lecture of architecture, actually, in only 20 minutes. So just thank you. I mean, I just want to point out a few things you said that to me were kind of beautiful, just in relation also to what Katarina said before. Like, you described the house saying like a house, it's about earth, water, air, and fire, and earth, its foundation, water, its roof, air, its space, and fire, its energy. And Jesus, I mean, it's so true. It's so elegant the way you say it. And when you see this final outcome, let's say in your project, it's there, and it is what it should be about. So instead of plastic, styrofoam, and all these kind of things, we should really celebrate your attitudes, and we thank you for bringing these and many other things on the table. I mean, I cannot speak here and there what you say, but I just wrote down also this sentence you said, like, only iconic architecture can approach an authentic surrounding and environment, and I think that was also very beautiful. So just
Sorry. Yeah, it was not very congruent, but it was certain ideas, but as I said, what I noticed that, I mean, you bring together strange terminologies. I mean, fake is a very important terminology, especially in America. It was over the last years, you know, it was one of the most used words that came up. So it's not a strange word, but it's a very relevant contemporary expression right now. But we never really think about it in architectural terms. Authentic is a terminology that comes up a lot, although it's usually, you know, people just use it. Mm-hmm. For us, I think we have a pretty strong, I mean, you read in the beginning a short part of our homepage text, manifesto, whatever, and we have always used that term authentic. Yeah. But it took us some years actually I think it was instinctive in the beginning, and it took us some time to relate to it more intellectually. What do we actually mean by it? And that came through that idea of presence. Yeah. So things that acquire, moments that acquire, you know, these. I think authentic is not something that lasts forever. Mm-hmm. Authenticism. I think authentic things, they hit you in the moment. They are occasions that are immediate, that are present, but not in the sense of contemporary. Yeah. And then this is maybe the last thing, then you have these weird combinations of words, which I find interesting. You know, the moment, I don't know what is fake authentic or authentic fake. I have no answer to that, but I think the combining of words is generally an interesting way to think. Yeah, because it opens up these pathways to new understandings. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I fully subscribe. And what's fantastic for us, it's also how intelligent people can interpret these few words, which are actually pretty banal, one could say, or simple, but referring to your intelligent mind and others' intelligent mind, what's the outcome is, it's fantastic. It generates a proper word. I mean, the lecture you just gave us, talking about these 5 or 4 words, plus your images, it's astonishing. I mean, where a mind can travel, it's incredible. Mm-hmm. And we thank you again for these, as we thanks all the others.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you for provoking that somehow. And we certainly will catch up. We have not seen many of the talks yet, but we will try to see some of them for sure.
Yeah, we will send you all the past link, let's say.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Pleasure. And we conclude this session, thanking you again and inviting formally you to the next Friday session, which is going to happen with Eugenio Tiella, one of our participants, and then Anna Bach, Eugenie Bach, and Masatoshi Hirai from Japan. So we thank you again. Have a nice lunch, guys, and hope to see you very soon.
You too. Enjoy.
And the World Championship is coming soon, huh? Our son, who is for the Azzurri, is already nervous about the World Championship.
Couple of years will be done.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Riusciamo a vederci prima di tutto?
Sicuramente.
Sì.
Sicuramente sì.
Magari a fine agosto?
Sì, senz'altro, ma ci sentiremo,
sentiamo
organizziamo adesso
personalmente,
una serie di Zoom anche per definire un po' il tutto.
Ok, perfetto.
Va bene.
Grandi.
Grazie, ciao.
Ciao allora, grazie mille.
A
Ciao.
voi. Ciao.